Yeah. Still trying to get it together, y'all. It's gonna be all right, though. What's up, y'all? What's up? What's up, y'all? Yeah. Yeah. What's up, y'all? So, today, on the urban Therapy with Sun show, we talking about the relationship between age 25 and 40. So all of my old heads, you 40-year-olds, and we're going to talk about how fast the time seems to go between the age 25 and 40. Anybody who has turned 40 or more knows that it seems like the time that passes between age 25 and 40 seems like it went just like that. It's almost like the 30s never existed. You know, you're 25 one day, all young, spry, turning up, doing your thing, whole future ahead of you, your whole life ahead of you. Maybe you have kids, maybe you don't. You probably don't. You're probably even thinking about whether you want to do things like have multiple children, whether you want to get married, whether you want to, start a fortune, go back to school. All of these things come into your mind when you're age 40. And then you start doing some things, getting into some things. A couple of years roll by, seems like, and next thing you know, you look up and you're 39 and your birthday is coming up. And you're talking about 40 years old. You know, when you are 25 years old, you feel like 40 years old. Maybe not real old, but it seems like it's far away because you cannot deny that you are young when you're 25. You are absolutely young. By anyone's standards, you are young. You might be an old head to some 15-year-olds. You might be an old head to some 10-year-olds. But as far as other adults are concerned, at 25 years old, you haven't gotten your feet yet. You haven't experienced a whole lot of things. You haven't done probably 1/4 of the things that you're going to do in your life. But the 15 years between age 25 and 40 are pivotal in most people's lives. So we're going to talk about that today on the Urban Therapy with Sun show. So I'm going to play a little bit more. I'm going to What's up, y'all? Emily. Jack Black. First, last. Grown woman, don't cry. Let's rock, y'all. Let's go. Let's go. Let's have this conversation because the conversation is going to be good. We in a good space. We're in a good space. Saturday, baby. January 11th. January 11th. And, you know, before we do the shout outs at the end of the show, I have to give a pre-shout out because this is an unbelievable thing. I thought about this show way earlier in the week, and I was going to do it earlier in the week, but I said, nah, son, hold back, chill, relax. But my nephew, my young boy, my baby boy nephew is turning 40 today. And I'm like, huh? 40? My nephew's turning 40? My nephew that will always be young to me, that will always be a kid to me, is turning 40 years old. He's a grown man. He got more kids than I do. You know what I mean? He's rocking out with a 4-piece. I'm like, what? Ain't this some shit? So it got me to thinking, well, shit, you know, that energy is real. That energy is real when you realize that your children are getting older. The people that called you Miss and Mr. are now Misters and Mrs. And it ain't just because they're married. Now they actually have the age, the experience, the wisdom, and they have earned the respect of the Miss and the Mister. And yo, you know, just like when you were a teenager and it didn't seem like your parents wanted to give you the respect that you deserved, or that you felt like you deserved to be able to make your own decisions and do your own thing. It's sort of like the same thing when you look at the people, the kids that you watch grow up, become full-fledged, without a doubt, adults. That's what we working with. That's what we working with. That's what we working with. That's what we talking about today, y'all. You know what I mean? Had a little rocky start today, but everything is all right. Everything is all right. Let me put this phone number in here just in case any of y'all want to call in and put in your 2 cents. I see my man Spartacus is in the house talking that Packers crap. Talking all that Packers. Man, listen. Me not play that. Tomorrow the Packers are going down. And I swear, if the Eagles don't win tomorrow, I'm not watching football ever again. Yeah, that's right. I said it. If the Eagles don't win tomorrow, I'm through. Oh, that was Judy. What up, Judy? Jack Black says time is fake. I can't even hate on that. Time is fake. You might be on to something. First last says loving the eyeliner. You rock it well, King. Yeah, that's for you, first last. Okay. All right. Emily says, I'm so tired of these dummies coming in here saying you wear eyeliner. You got to understand, now they just doing it. Before, I think they actually believed the shit. Now they do it. Like, there's a dude who comes on my post after the show. He comes on the post after the show just to talk about the eyeliner thing. So I realized, like, for he and I, that's just like a running joke. So I ain't even, how many times do I have to wipe my face? How many times do I have to wipe my face on the show before? But You notice a lot of those guys aren't here no more. We don't get as many trolls as we got. YouTube cleaned up a lot of shit. But I ain't worried about them. Let them do their thing. Let them do their thing. They need it. They need that more than you need whatever it is that you need. Trust and believe. All right. Just stupid thinking just because they wear it, all men do. Tell them, grown woman, don't cry. I mean, don't try me. Grown woman, don't try. Cheryl Halsey, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Always good to see you. Always good to see you. Grown woman, don't try me, says the lies you tell. What lies? What lies? Did I start lying yet? I normally schedule my lies. I haven't scheduled them yet. Do me a favor, y'all. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. This is the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. I'm your host, Sun752. We are talking about the relationship between age 25 and 40. Age 25 and 40, you would never be able to tell a 25-year-old that they will be 40 soon. You won't be able to do it. And I get it. I was there. 25 years old, 1995. Like 40. If somebody would have tried to tell me that you get from age 25 to 40 fast, or that it's going to seem fast, or that it's not as far away as it seems, it's only 15 years. There's only a 15-year difference between 25 and 40. That's just simple math. But the psychological years, the mental, the emotional, the physical years between 25 and 40 is pivotal in a person's life. It takes you places and makes you see things through a different kind of scope. You're looking at life a lot differently at 40 than you were at 25, and it's only 15 years apart. One thing that 25 and 40 have in common is that both of them are full-fledged adults. Full-fledged adults. No doubt. But peep this out. At age 25, you cannot deny that you're young. Now, you may be old as far as other young people are concerned, but you are not old. You are young, can't deny it. The thing is, at age 40, the big thing, the big life-changing fact about age 40 is that at age 40, you cannot say that you're young. You can no longer use the word young when it comes to 40. Now, of course, if somebody is 50, yes, you're young. If somebody is 60, yes, you're young. If somebody is a senior citizen, no matter how old they get, at 40, they looking at you like you a pup. Because, you know, they may have been 40 when you were born. But you are not young in terms of experience, in terms of should be wisdom, in terms of responsibility. You can't kick it. You can't kick that. Well, you know, I'm still young. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. Not at 40. All of those excuses, all of those reasons, all of those things are taken away from you at age 40. All of them. You don't have none. You know what I mean? You got a Uno hand. You ain't got no wild cards. You ain't got no draw fours. You know, you ain't got no reverse either. You ain't got no reverse. You might have a draw two. You might have a skip. But you ain't got no wild card. So I ain't trying to discourage nobody, bring nobody down or whatever, but I want to take a look at everybody who has turned 40 or maybe is on the cusp. You know, you might be 38, you might be 39, staring down the barrel of 40 years old. Shit gets real. And anybody who turns 40 knows, they know that they ain't young. I mean, you old young, but you ain't young. You pretty much have to take the word young out of your vocabulary. All the way up into 39, you can claim to be young. You can claim to not know things, not understand things, not have experienced things, haven't been taught things, need to be shown things. At 40, people looking at you like, nah, dog, it's time for the student to become the professor. Yeah, you better get up in front of that class and teach something. You're expected to know. At 25, ain't none of that going on. You might not be you're not going to be a professor at age 25, but you might be a teacher's assistant. You might be on your way to doing it. And that's just a college reference, but you understand what I'm talking about. So 25-year-olds are probably looking at 40-year-olds like, yo, you're not going to, if you're 25 years old and you partying, going to clubs and stuff like that, you're looking at a 40-year-old like, what you doing in this club? You're looking at a 40-year-old like, what are you doing in this club? You should be home taking care of your grandkids. You really shouldn't have grandkids at age 40, but it can happen. It can happen. You had your kids when you had your kids, maybe 18, 19 years old, and then your child has kids at 18, 19 years old. So, 18 and 18 is 36, 19 and 19 is 38. So by the time you reach 40, you might have a couple, may have at least one, or one might be cooking. One might be cooking in the womb. Congratulations. But yeah. So at age 25, you're not thinking on a 40-year-old level. You're not thinking in that realm. You're not thinking in that space. You ain't even trying to hear that. Like, nah, man, I ain't trying to think about no 40. Listen, at 25, you might be going to go get a 40 to drink. Give me a 40 ounce, smoking weed every day and all that. And I ain't saying that all 25-year-olds do that, because there are a lot of really, really responsible go-getters who are 25 years old. I was one. I wasn't spending my time wasting my life. Not at age 40. I'm like, yo, we got to get this money. Me and my whole team. My niggas didn't play. Shoot, they was trying to get money. When we was in our 20s, we was battling. Like, oh, you just got a car? I'm going to get a better car. You just got a house? I'm going to go get a better house. That's kind of how it went. We weren't in direct competition like that, but we were in immature competition. And that's the thing. When you are 25 years old, you are still in the space where it's okay to be immature. The expectations of you are not that high. They might be high at your job, because by the time you're 25 years old, you should have finished college if you went there right after high school. You might be in grad school or something like that, but undergrad, if you went straight through taking full-time classes, then you should have been done. What, you flunked? You flunked in college? You flunked 16th grade? Damn, son. He got left back in his junior year in college. He had to take them classes again. Student aid ran out. But anyway, yeah, at 25 years old, people are not expecting you to carry the torch of responsibility. They're not expecting you to know everything. They're not expecting you to bring somebody else along. Well, maybe youth younger than you. They want you to set a good example for them, but they're not expecting you to grow them up, because you're not fully grown either. You're 25 years old. And that's anywhere between 20 and 25, 25 to 30. And you know how you know 40 is a pivotal age and that you're not young no more? Because people be like, yo, when I turn 40, I'm having this big party. Everybody gonna come to the party. Everybody gonna come, everybody. Yeah, 40 years old. Because you know in your heart of hearts, like, I'm 40 years old, man. You start looking at your life like, what have I accomplished at 40 years old? And you got to be honest with yourself at 40 years old. At 25 years old, you're not expected to be honest with yourself yet. You're not expected to take inventory on where your life is going at 25 years old. But there can be some things happening at 25 that may make you never see 40 years old. It's only 15 years apart. 5, 10, 15. That's it. 25 and 40 are 15 years apart. And it takes 25 years to get from birth to 25, to age 25. It takes 25 long years. But it seems like it only takes 5 years to get from 25 to 40. Now, 5 plus 25 is 30. But and somebody might have like a 30th birthday party. But ain't nobody taking that shit seriously. Like, oh, you 30. Huh? Difference. You like an old 20-year-old. You ain't carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders at age 30. Like I said, it's your job. You're expected to be young and brash and full of ideas and energy, and you're gonna take this company to the stars, the moon. But around the way, you're 30. You're 30. 30 years old. Too old to be selling drugs on the block. Too old to be cruising by the high schools, seeing what's good. Yeah, that's 30. At 25, even though you ain't got no business riding by them high schools, you only 25. All right, so you're 7 years old, older than a high school senior. It ain't cool, but you're going to get away with it. You're going to get away with it. Y'all can be mad at me for saying that shit, and it wasn't me, but yeah, you're going to get away with it. Because all of y'all have seen 25-year-olds get away with messing around with 18-year-olds. All of y'all have seen it. Every last person listening to this show, looking at this show, paying attention, like, yeah. Some of y'all are guilty. I'm not guilty, but I refuse to hide what I've seen. After all, they can't indict me on it. I ain't do it. Richard Wilkins said, hey, y'all, damn, it has been what up, my dude? Good to see you. Man, popping up late, but it's good to see you. It's really, really good to see you. So yeah, let me do this intro. I haven't done the intro. Urban Therapy with Sun 752, and this is the Urban Therapy with Sun show. We do this every single Saturday from 1 p.m. till around 2:30-ish. And the reason that we say 2:30-ish is because sometimes it gets so heated that we just have to do a little OT on a Saturday. And it is Saturday. This is the show where adults come out and play with other adults. We laugh and cry. We argue, fuss, and fight. Go back and forth with each other. Bust it up all crazy. We take an introspective look into our own personality to see the way that the universe projects us into this thing called the world and try to figure out this thing called life. I am your host, Sun 752, aka Omar with the. And if you can't say Omar with the, well, then you just say Omar with the R. Today on the Urban Therapy with Sun show, we're talking about the relationship between 25 and 30. We're doing a little something different today. We're doing something a little bit different. You know what I mean? This is a life show. A life show to show how fast life can go. A life show to show how fast life can go. That's what it all boils down to. Do me one favor, y'all. Do me one little favor. Just a little thing. Please hit the like button. Hit the like button, share the show. Hit the like button, share the show. Hit the like button, share the show. Subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, this is the Urban Therapy with Sun show. I'm your host, Sun 752. Hit the like, please, 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 please. You ain't got to do a lot. Just hit the like button. We be all right. We gonna be all right. So yeah, man. Age 25. What were most of y'all doing at age 25? Let's have that conversation. For those of y'all who can remember, because I have to say those of y'all who can remember, because for some people, age 25 might have been a blur. It might be a blur. If you were on drugs or you had an alcohol problem, substance abuse, let's just call it that. If you were doing things like that, then age 25 may be a little murky for you. You may have had to have gotten your shit together. And that's the thing about it. At age 25, if you are on drugs or out there, or just wilding out, or, not taking care of yourself, Richard Wilkins says, I ain't even 25 yet. I hear you. Okay. Still, whatever age you are, speak on it. But yeah, what were you doing at age 25? What were you doing? Like, for example, at age 25, did you have a car? Some did, some didn't. At age 25, did you have a house? Did you own a house? Were you paying on a house? Or were you apartment hunting? Were you still living at home? There are plenty of people at age 25 still in school, still living at home or whatever. There are different dynamics for different people, different cultures, different neighborhoods, different families. Shirley, Cheryl, the world's most precious and greatest pearl in the world. Shirley, Cheryl, the world's most precious and greatest pearl in the world. What's going on, man? What's going on? But yeah, at age 25, did you drive? Had you traveled? You know, did you have your own place? Were you married at 25? Some people are married, already married, and married with children at age 25. How about you? Were you? Huh? Planning on getting married. Had you planned on getting married at age 25? Was that on your radar? Were you even thinking about it? Was that in your space? Grown woman don't try says, I know I was a mother, so I guess I was being a mom. See? So a lot of people are already with children at age 25. Plenty aren't, many are. And working too. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. You said yes, married and trying to get divorced. Damn, already at 25. All right, let me ask you this. The job that you were working at age 25, was that a job that you saw a future in? At age 25, were you working at a job where you could say, well, you know what? I have a future at this job. Maybe I'll move up in position at this job. I can actually work for this company, retire from this company. Okay. You have a caller already. This is what I'm going to do.
You have a call.
Caller with the last number 7692. Hold on just a second. I'm going to pick you up in just a second. We're going to be good. But yeah. And were you working at a job that you felt like had your future in interest? Did you have an interest in the job? Was this job that you were working at age 25? Was it a job where you felt like, well, yeah, I could raise my kids on here. I could have a nice home. I could have a good life with this job, live the American dream. Now, somebody else might be in transition at age 25, where they might be working in retail. You know, like they might be working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. Maybe none of these jobs are jobs that they see a future in. Like, all right, you know, I'm a cashier over here, I'm an attendant over here, and I'm an associate over there. You know what I mean? You might be working your ass off, but not really seeing a future in the places that you're working. So that's what I'm asking. All right. Oh shit. I didn't even see Joshy edits. It says, hey man, I really enjoy your content. Could you please say my name? Okay. I guess we got that done. All right. So grown woman says, at the time I did, but later I realized it wasn't meant to be. Okay. Cheryl Halsey says, yes, I had 6 children, just bought a home. At age 25? You had 6 children already? God damn. Somebody say, that escalated quick. All right. What's that? Cititude? Greetings, nigga. Please shout out. Yeah, you coming in a little aggressive, my dude. I don't even know if this cat. I gotta know that you black first, because you doing too much. You can hang out, do what you want to do, but you I don't know about you. This is what we gonna do. We're gonna take this call. Caller with the last number 7692. I appreciate you calling in. Thank you for holding. What's on your mind this afternoon? What's good?
Hey, it's Rick. What's up?
I'm sorry, you were breaking up. What did you say?
It's Richard Wilkins. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. You good? What's up, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. How are you?
Man, I feel like a real man should. Everything is all right.
That's good to hear. I thought it would be interesting maybe to give my perspectives on age as somebody who's only 23 years old. Maybe that'll differ from yours. And then also some of the questions that you were posing about jobs, relationships, where you're living and stuff. I thought it might be interesting to get a perspective from somebody who's around that 25-year age group.
I'm feeling it. Let's do it.
So I think that there's generally two perspectives that I have on age. I think that my perspectives are a little bit more developed than those that are in my age group, but I'm not trying to toot my own horn.
Okay.
But I think that the two aspects are proportionality and maturity. And I'll break down the maturity first. Maturity is pretty simple. It's that everybody has a different level of maturity. And we as a society have come to expect certain people to have a certain level of maturity associated with their age. Now, sometimes you'll have an 18-year-old that's more mature than a 30-year-old, and sometimes you'll have a 30-year-old that's less mature than an 18-year-old. And that's why there has to be a little bit of nuance when it comes to conversations about age gap relationships and power differentials and things like that.
Okay.
And then with relation to proportionality, I think that people often view their lives in proportion to the life that they have lived total. So if you're 80 years old, 10 years doesn't seem like a long time to you because that's an eighth of the life that you've already lived. But if you're 20 years old, 10 years is a much more valuable experience to you because that's already half the life that you've lived all over again.
Right.
So that's just kind of how I feel about about age in general. Is the age is kind of just quick and easy, dirty concept that we use to lump people into age groups and to try to help classify with things. And it can be useful, but can also be detrimental because you have some people that aren't going to fall into these basic brackets. Like you said earlier, I've seen people that are around my age group that are flirting with 18-year-old, 17-year-old girls, and they're able to do that and get away with it societally, whereas somebody who's like a 30 or 35-year-old wouldn't. Even if that girl may be a little bit more mature or that 30-year-old guy might be immature, and the power imbalance is actually lesser than if it was a much more mature 24, 25-year-old with that 18, 17-year-old.
Well, okay. All right. You said a lot, and I'm going to try to unpack some of it. Okay. First of all, I appreciate the wisdom about the percentage of the years at a young age and then how it feels at an old age, because you're spot on with that. You know, when you've lived 50, 60, 70 years old, 10 years goes by faster, and it almost seems like you're in a time warp because it's a much smaller percentage of your life than at 20 years old. I remember being a kid and how long 4 years used to seem, or even just 1 year. You know what I mean? It used to seem like a long time. The older I got, it seemed like time was getting shorter and shorter and shorter until I got an understanding of how come it seems like time gets so short when you get older. But there are other psychological reasons for it too. Not everything is just purely mathematical. One thing that I try to safeguard against is painting people into a particular age category or age expectation, because people learn things when they learn things. You know, what your training and experience may be different from mine. The people that you've met are different from the people I've met. The things that you've done, the places that you've gone, the way that you process information, all of those things are personal. But when we start talking about the differences in ages, you know, like if we go back to the whole, 25-year-olds messing around with 18-year-olds, although statutorily, that wouldn't go over well in court if somebody told, you're 17, 25 and 18 would, but 24 and 17 wouldn't. 25 and 17 wouldn't. At the same time, one of the reasons why that seems like such an insignificant gap in age as you get older is because you start to realize that both of y'all were kids at the same time. There was no time when y'all were very far apart in age. Now, experience and the expectation of experience during the times of your lives with 6 or 7 years of difference, or 7 or 8 years difference, is it's like this. If somebody was born when you were 8 years old, yes, they are a baby, but you are a kid. You know, you are a kid. There's no way around it. You're not at 8 years old, you're not a pre-adolescent. You're not even in double digits. So at a young age, it seems like a big difference, because it's just like if you saw like a bully, or like a fifth grader bullying a second grader is a big violation. They're only 3 years apart. But that 3 years is so significant as far as physical growth, as far as mental and emotional development. But both of them are pretty much the same. It's a 3-year difference. And that's why at age 20, a 23-year-old and a 20-year-old, there isn't really a difference. Neither one of you have ever been out of school while the other one was in it until you graduated. So it wasn't like, if you take elementary school. Okay, when I was in the first grade, you were in the fourth. When you went to middle school or junior high, when I was in the fifth grade, you were in the eighth. When we got into high school, I was a freshman, you were a senior. When we went to college, I was a freshman, you were a senior. You never outpaced me to the point where you were already out of the box. So that makes a difference when we start talking about age differences and the expectation of whatever age that you are and what it should bring. Now, here's the thing. When we're talking about the age between 25 and 40, until you get there and actually see it, it's going to be hard to really explain. There's only a 15-year difference. So y'all are not in the same generation. Like if there's a 15 generation, that's the difference between let's say a generation Xer and a millennium. Like millennials started, I think, in 1981 or 80 or some shit like that. And I believe that the generation X started around 63 or some shit like that. So 63, 64, something like that. So you're not really in the same generation, and you don't relate to each other the same way. So one is outpacing the other. However, the physical time that it seems to take to get from 25 to 40 seems really, really short, because between age 25 and 40, you're trying to get things done. More than like, if you're progressive. There are plenty of people who are wasting their lives at age 25. And there are people at age 25 who may be in jail doing a life bid. So 40 is going to hit differently for them if they should make it. Being in jail on a life sentence because of a murder. Yeah. So
that's why I think that maturity aspect is so important, because there's going to be different levels of maturity at any age range that you're in. Like you were just saying, there's 40-year-olds that don't have their shit put together. There's 40-year-olds that are in prison. There's 40-year-olds that are multi-million-dollar CEOs.
How do you measure maturity?
How do I measure maturity? I would say that maturity is one's ability to understand and empathize with others, one's ability to understand themselves, one's ability to understand the world around them, just very broadly. But I'd have to dig in a little bit more to say, like, this is a mature person, or this isn't, or these qualities are or aren't. But just generally, that's what I would say. Okay.
Yeah, maturity is one of those words that are very subjective and very opinionated. Like, it's hard to say that a person is all right. If a person acts really, really childish, like maybe they're super impatient and lack understanding and practice a lot of selfishness and always want things to go their way, and maybe they act a little bratty when things don't work out the way they want to, and they're not able to handle disappointment very well. You could say that they are immature, but we all display those qualities or those I don't want to say qualities or attributes. We all display those types of characteristics.
But for some people, it's a habitual nature, whereas some people, it's just an acting out of themselves. And I think that's what makes the difference for me, is if it's a habitual unacknowledgement of other people or unacknowledgement of oneself or one's needs.
You could say that. Okay, so if a person is 39 years old, but they've never had their own place, some people may say that they're immature.
I wouldn't necessarily say that person's immature. I would look at a lot of other factors, like do they have a job? Are they in this home because they're taking care of someone? Like there's a lot of things that could go into that. I could say that would be an aspect that could favor towards immaturity combined with other things, but that doesn't necessarily preclude someone from being mature.
Exactly. But that's why words like immature are so subjective, because without all of the information involved, people would just try to take from certain cues or certain cookie cutter aspects of a person's personality and label them one way or one thing or another. Some people may say that you're immature because you don't have a driver's license at age 40. Some
people say I'm immature because I don't have a driver's license at age 23, but I just don't have a necessity for it.
Okay. I don't think that having a driver's license has anything to do with immaturity. So a lot of people are afraid to drive. So if you succumb to your fears, if you allow your fears to run your life or govern the things that you do, is that immature? Because almost everybody does it on some level. Some people may look at it like that's immature. Like, so what do you mean you're afraid to drive, you're afraid to swim, you're afraid to climb a ladder? Some people may look at those things as being immature. I don't. I realize that there are other things. Just because I don't look at it as being immature doesn't mean that I necessarily put up with it. I don't want anybody to label me this extra understanding guy that just puts up with anybody's shit, because I don't. But I'm going to try to find the right word to fit the situation. So okay, let's do this. At age 23, where would you say that you are in your life at age 23?
I'd say that I'm still developing the foundation for my life. I've got some things going for me, but I definitely know that I need to build out and flesh out the very simple groundwork that I've had and establish some real foundation for myself, possibly get my own place, work more towards getting ahead in my job, maybe look towards other job fields, further education. But I think that I'm still trying to build a foundation for myself at this point.
Okay. At the job you work at, is that a job how long do you see yourself working at this job? Is this a job that you think could secure your future?
I've worked in this job for a year now, and I've gotten 2 raises since I've been there. I've also been taken into consideration for helping to develop the website while I work there. There's a lot of management opportunities that are available. I'm fortunate to work for a small company that's currently in a major growth cycle. And I do look towards becoming management there one day, and possibly at a second location if we decide to expand in that way. But I've been learning more about the company and investing myself in it. Not only so that I could be an asset to the company, but also because I know that it'll help out more generally, depending on what field I decide to go into in the future.
Okay. So you consider this to be a decent job?
Yeah, absolutely. I get paid pretty well, and I like my boss. My boss likes me, and the hours are good. People I work with are good. Yeah, it's a good time.
Okay. Now, a lot of 23-year-olds may be working at a job that's kind of transitional, or they may be or they may not have the ambitions to want to really do anything. Let me put it this way, because I don't want to diss anybody's field or job or occupation. I don't want to do that. But what I'm saying is, normally individuals know what they want to do in their lives. They know They know if this is a job that will make them decent money, enough money to be able to, let's say, if you're 23, anywhere between 23 and 30 years old, you know, I'm thinking like, if I don't have any children, I'm thinking like I'm probably going to have children soon. Somewhere between 23 and 30 years old, I'm probably thinking that I'm probably going to fall in love with some chick, you know what I mean? Or at least get blamed by a chick whose body I fell in love with. And, you know, I'm going to have a child. Okay. Will I be able to take care of my child with this job? How about another child? How about 2, 3, or 4? For me, that's pretty much the barometer of how a job would be chosen for me. Could I take care of a whole other person if I was their only income? That's how I measure whether a job is for me as far as my future is concerned. Because if I know that a job that I have will not allow me to take care of another person who cannot financially provide for themselves, then I have to start thinking that, okay, I gotta start making another move, looking at another place, maybe going back to school, getting some more training, some more education, a degree, something that will allow me to command more money. But a lot of people don't do that. They think more like, okay, maybe I'll just get another job, or maybe I'll work under the table, or maybe the Lord will provide, or, like the luck of the draw, or maybe Trump will come in and fix everything like he said he would. I don't know. You know what I mean? So you have to start thinking about your future when you're in your 20s. And at 25, you're probably thinking about your future a lot. Maybe. I have to say probably because it's not a definite. Now, I went to school. I went 12 years of high school, 4 years of college, graduated and all of that. But still, when I graduated college, I wasn't 100% sure of what I wanted to do. I knew the only thing that I really wanted to do was get out of there, get that goddamn degree and find something decent. Luckily, I had a good situation that would allow me to work, make a decent salary, have my own shit and all of that. But I always thought about, like, listen, I'm going to have to be able to make it on my own one day, and I have to be prepared for that. So I was always thinking in that realm, fortunately, my dad always owned his own business. He didn't have a job. He made jobs, and he always preached that. You can never get rich working for somebody else. You got to find a way to be able to make enough money to pay other people. That's when you know that you're getting it the right way. And that was a philosophy that worked for him. Not everybody needs or wants to be their own boss or to run their own business. And that's fine. But nonetheless, that's the kind of training I come from. Okay. So from 25 years old, let's see what I had going on. At 25 years old, I had a car, but it was my first car. I just got it. I just got my license at age 24. And I bought a brand new car. And at age 25, well, I was still 24, turning 25 later on that year. It was 30 years ago now. It was in 1995. And then I had my own apartment, and I owned the building where my apartment was. But I didn't own it outright. I co-owned it with my family. I was in a family business. We owned the business. So at age 25 and at age 54, which I am now, I've never paid rent one day in my life. I've never made a rent payment. I've never had a landlord. I've never paid rent. I've never done that. For some people, that's preposterous. It's like the craziest thing. But the thing is, I collected rent because I was a landlord. So I've never paid rent, but I've collected thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars from rent. So it gave me a different perspective. So I figured that my life was set. From 25, I figured that my life was secure all the way until I closed my eyes for the last time. Everything changed for me at age 37. Everything changed. So by the time I reached age 40, I had to start all over. All over. And I did not know what I was going to do. I had almost no clue. My life had taken a totally different turn. You know, my birthright was literally dead. But from 25 to 40, and it went like this. I mean, that shit went fast. I remember pretty much everything that happened at every age in my life, but the speed at which I had to retain the information seemed really, really like, I don't know, super trained fast, starting at age 25, going to 40. And I've never considered age 40 to be old, but at 25 years old, I'm not thinking about age 40 at all. I'm barely thinking about 30. Like, I still got 5 strong, long years before I hit age 30. So 40 seems far away. Now, the 15 years between age 40 and 25 are pivotal. What would you say about a romantic relationship between a 40-year-old and a 25-year-old?
See, that's where it gets kind of weird, because when we look at a relationship between a 25-year-old and an 18-year-old, people's minds get warped by that. They're like, that's not right. And it's not a significant age gap, but it's significant in the minds of those people because of the fact that the people involved are so young and because the early developmental years are so important. But then you look at a couple that's 50 and 70, and these two people, they have a 20-year age gap, but it's generally accepted by society and it's generally looked upon positively because, I mean, this person has 50 years of life experience. They know what they're getting themselves into, and the age gap shouldn't matter much at that length. And that seems to be the general agreement that society has. And I think that it's a well-founded one. But then people get really weird whenever it's in that particular age group, that 25 to 40 age group, because people don't view someone who's 25 as having the same level of life maturity or the same life experience or the ability to be in a relationship, in the balanced relationship with someone who's 40. I think it's for that's when I'd pull out the maturity card, and I think it's an individual case by case basis. I don't think you can lump all 25-year-olds or all 40-year-olds or anyone in between necessarily into these groups and say, well, it's wrong for a 37-year-old to be with a 27-year-old because there's 10 years of age difference, and one's about to go into one step of their life and the other's about to go into a step of the other. It's more nuanced than that. I think that there's instances where a 25-year-old and a 40-year-old can be together and there not be a problem with it. But I think generally that we should be cautious about those types of relationships and examine the dynamics in them and examine the individuals and their traits and make a distinction based on that.
So what's your final assessment? Do you agree with it or do you disagree?
As a general rule, without taking into context who it is that's involved, I think it's fine. They're both of legal age.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I don't think. For me, it's actually not acceptable. 25 and 40 is not acceptable, and I can't say that it's wrong because it's none of my business for real. But I would say it's not acceptable. I wouldn't consider it in my life, and I see it as being problematic. It would, when you look at that 15-year age gap, like you have to think the 40-year-old was already in 10th grade when the 25-year-old was born. So I'm like, so you're on your way to graduating high school in 2 years.
Yeah, but the 70-year-old was already out of high school when the 50-year-old was born, and we generally don't have a problem with that. Or would you say that you have a problem with like a 50-year-old and a 70-year-old being together?
Anybody anybody, I would say 40 years old and up, I don't really have anything to say about it, because by then you pretty much established who you are, what it's going to be or whatever. From age birth all the way up to 39, that's when I take a hard look at it. If a 70
would you say that like someone's development as a person would be the standard that you use to determine whether they're mature enough to be in a relationship then, and not necessarily like their maturity level, but their actual physical development?
I can't tell anybody what to do necessarily, but for my edification, for my consideration, I'm not taking a 15-year age gap at that juncture. A 25-year-old is wet behind the ears. They may be smart, they may be book smart, super intelligent, but the way that they are emotionally developed, they're not ready for where a 40-year-old is. Now, that's not to say that 40-year-old is really, really super mature, because they may not be. They may have had some developmental problems, mentally. But, and I think, to keep it a buck with you, I think they kind of have to be thinking on a lower level in order to deal with a 25-year-old, because a 25-year-old's conversation, like what the things that they value, the things that they think are important. I can't say that they aren't important, but they shouldn't hold the same importance for a 40-year-old. Like I expect to hear a 25-year-old talking about the rap beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. I expect that. A 40-year-old should have bigger fish to fry. How are we gonna pay this mortgage off faster? Are our children prepared? Are we prepared to send our children to college? Do we have enough money? Are we going to have to use financial aid? Are we going to have to use loans? A 40-year-old should know how to maneuver things. They should know how to maneuver their way into spaces, and to know when and how to get out of troubling situations. That's not to say that they all know how to do that, but those are my expectations of a 40-year-old versus a 25-year-old. So when a 25-year-old and a 40-year-old are interacting with each other, if they're on the same educational plane, like let's say they're both college educated or both just high school educated, now you have to start thinking about what a 40-year-old has been through and what they're going to and what they can speak about versus a 25-year-old. That 40-year-old has already been 25. So they may have a child that's closer in age or as close in age as that 25-year-old. Like a 40-year-old may have an 18-year-old. So 18, 25, okay, we're looking at 7-year difference. So I'm taking that into consideration, but just the emotionals, like at age 25, you may have not been through the relationship ringer. You may have not have had your heart, put through a meat grinder or squeezed in a vice. You may not have been through that yet, and you may not be ready for it. The devastation.
But by your own admission, a 40-year-old might not have been through those emotional relationship experiences either. It might be in the same emotional place that a 25-year-old is. And a 25-year-old, although not having the same amount of time, might have been in relationships enough to develop a sense of better values and to understand that there are more important things in life than the Kendrick and Drake beef. And instead we should be worried about what is going to happen with our kids? How are we going to continue to do this and continue to do that? Do I need to take a second job? Do you need to quit your job so we don't have to pay for babysitting? I guarantee you there are 25-year-olds that are at that level of maturity because I've met them. I don't think that's generally true. I think generally a 40-year-old is going to be more mature than a 25-year-old. Anybody that would argue different is an idiot. But on a per person basis, I think that varies a lot. I don't think you can say cut and dry that a 40-year-old is going to have more life experience than a 25-year-old.
Okay, so what I'm saying is
a lot in those years,
my expectation of a 40-year-old is different than my expectations of a 25-year-old. So you're right. Neither one of them may be mature, or both of them may be mature. But I'm not going to accept the excuses from the 40-year-old the way I'm going to accept the excuses from the 25-year-old. If the 40-year-old has never had their heart broken, I don't know what the hell they've been doing for 40 years. Because it's virtually impossible. I mean, fucking impossible. And unless you've grown up in a bubble or something like that, and you can still get your heart broken in a bubble, because maybe the person who controls the bubble, maybe they let you down or they disappointed you. There are different levels and different ways to have your heart broken. But a 25-year-old may be irrational or impulsive when it comes to their emotions. And
don't you think if a particular 25-year-old or 40-year-old exhibited particular levels of maturity to you, that your expectation of that particular person would then shift to go along with the level of experience and maturity that they display?
There are exceptions to every rule, but I don't go with the exception. I go with the rule.
That's all I'm arguing for, is that with the exception to the rule, like generally, I think it should be scrutinized. I think that you should look at those relationships in a way where it's like, all right, this person has 15 very important developmental years of their life ahead of this other person, and there's probably a dynamic there that's unhealthy for their relationship. But again, it's like, yeah, I would argue just in favor of the exception, of saying that there are exceptions, that you have to look at the individual cases. You can't just write off every 40-year-old that wants to be with a 25-year-old as a creep, although you can write off most of them that way. That's my whole basis.
Whether or not you are a creep at age 40 or not, dealing with a 25-year-old, you don't have to be a creep at age 40, but you have to have a certain level of immaturity and childishness in order to be able to deal with them, because it's not going to be easy. The things that you can speak about are just not the things that a 25-year-old can speak about, regardless of how intelligent they are. They just can't. For that 15 years is a whole high school and college experience ahead of that 25-year-old. So I can't tell anybody what to do, and people are going to do whatever they want to do. But for me, I say it's unacceptable. That's for me.
But so just to clarify one more time, though, you have no problem with a 70-year-old and a 50-year-old being together in the same way that you would with a 25-year-old and a 40-year-old, even though the age gap is 5 years more between a 50-year-old and a 70-year-old.
Yeah, I don't think it's acceptable for a 30-year-old to be with a 10-year-old either.
Well, no, obviously not, and there's reasons for that, but the reason for that is because the 10-year-old isn't able to consent to sex. They don't understand, they don't have the implications or the necessity like a 50-year-old does. A 50-year-old understands what sex is and is a developed adult and is able to consent and has that level of maturity at least. We've established that probably morally and legally, that a 50-year-old can consent to sex.
Is a 15-year-old legally able to consent to sex?
A 50-year-old?
15. 15.
15? I don't think so.
Okay. Do they have sex?
I would say morally no, and legally definitely not.
Okay.
But do they have sex? Was your second question?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So being old enough to have sex is probably not a good barometer to measure somebody's maturity or their experience. So I'm
I don't
not.
think it's a
So I wouldn't
measure of
do
their
it.
maturity or experience, but that's not necessarily what you were asking me. You're asking me about the sexual, like, can a 30-year-old be with a 10-year-old? Like, no, they can't be together because one is incapable of consenting to sex. That would be the reason in that instance. That wouldn't be the same barometer that I would use for a 25 and a 40-year-old. The barometer that I would use there would be maturity, and then it would be based on the maturity levels of both of the individuals. Because my problem with a relationship like that would be if the 40-year-old is so much more mature than the 25-year-old that he's able to exploit the fact that he or she is able to exploit the fact that he or she is that age and is immature to their advantage, to take sexual advantage of them, financial advantage of them, emotionally, physically. Like, I understand the damage that could happen in a situation like this and why it's necessary to be skeptical, but the skepticism range, I think, is a little bit out of proportion. I don't think you have to be as skeptical of a 40-year-old and a 25-year-old as you would be with a 25-year-old and an 18-year-old, or with a 50-year-old and a 70-year-old. I think it shifts.
Well, the fact that, okay, first of all, I never brought up sex. You did. So when I was talking about I'm having your heart broken, it didn't have anything to do with sex. But your response, a person's response to heartbreak, which is essentially disappointment, is different at 25 than it is at 40. Because at 40,
all the time,
huh?
All the time,
pretty much.
Or are there 25-year-olds and 40-year-olds that are going to respond differently than the stereotype that you've put them into here?
There is no stereotype that I'm putting them into, because at age 40,
it seems like you're saying that a 25-year-old is always or almost always going to respond worse emotionally to a heartbreak than a 40-year-old is. I don't generally necessarily disagree with that sentiment, but there's going to be individual cases where that's not true. And you're saying that that's not the case, that there aren't individual cases, that it can't be the case.
No, what I was saying was my expectation of what a 25-year-old will or how they will respond to heartbreak is different than what my expectations of what a 40-year-old or how a 40-year-old will respond to heartbreak. And the thing is, at 40 years old, the difference between a 25-year-old experiencing crippling disappointment and a 40-year-old experiencing crippling disappointment in their lifetimes is that the 40-year-old has had 15 more years to learn how to process it, understand it, overcome it, or hold on to it. 15
but they might
more
not
years.
Utilize those 15 years effectively, and the 25-year-old and the 40-year-old might be on the same level.
No, there's no way. They're not on the same level. They're not on the same level. See, I understand at 23 years old, you think that it's possible that they can be on the same level. They can't. I'm telling you that as a 54-year-old who was 23, who was 24, who was 25, and who was all of those ages going up to 54. And trust me, I was like you. I had a really, really expansive vocabulary, and I could explain things and be very, very concise and all of that. And I really thought I was convincing people. But the thing is, I was only convincing myself, because regardless of the way you explain things, they happen the way that they happen. You can't always explain the physical nature out of things. Rain is rain, regardless of how you explain that it came. It's wet. It comes from the sky. Boom. If you don't cover yourself, you get wet. Now, you can use any kind of way to explain that. The results are the same. And a 25-year-old cannot think on the same level as a 40-year-old. They can try. A 25-year-old can definitely be smarter than a 40-year-old, but they cannot have more experience. They can't do it. They cannot do it. The years just won't govern it. Now, let's say
so you think that a 40-year-old tech billionaire that's never had to live on the street, that's never faced any suffering, that's never been with a woman before, that's never been in a relationship before, that has no children, that's dedicated his entire life to his education and to his career, is going to have more relationship experience than a 25-year-old that's been in three-year-long relationships, has developed sentiment, has lived in the street before, has developed a sense of money, has developed a sense of how to take care of themselves. Like, I don't understand how you can say all 40-year-olds are going to always be more mature, always, than all 25-year-olds. You may think that, and I think we have a fundamental disagreement on that point, because you are not going to be convinced, and I am not going to be convinced differently, because I believe that a 40-year-old can be as immature as a 25-year-old, and a 25-year-old can be as mature as a 40-year-old with their thinking.
I do. I believe the same thing. That's why I didn't say that a 40-year-old couldn't be. I didn't say that 40-year-olds are more mature than 25-year-olds. I said they're more experienced. Difference in them, in the meanings, in the definitions.
One thing that you keep going back to.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Richard, hold on a second. Whoa. Wait. Do you understand that I never said that 40-year-olds are more mature than 25-year-olds? I did not say that. Do you understand that?
I understand that.
Okay. All right. So wait a minute. You went too far on a falsity. You know what I mean? You went too far on a falsehood. So
okay, let's correct the falsity then. The expectation that you have for 40-year-olds and their maturity level is different than the expectation and the maturity level that you have for a 25-year-old. That doesn't necessarily mean that those maturity levels will actually match, but that's the expectation you have. My proposition is that your expectation of their maturity level is based on a generalization of the 40-year-olds and 25-year-olds that you've seen. It's based on, like, what is the basis of this thing that you have?
No, because you're trying to get to a place. You're trying to get from A to Z without ever going to G, M, R, and Y. You can't do that. A 40-year-old has already been a 25-year-old. A 25-year-old has not been a 40-year-old. They have not been a 26-year-old. They haven't been a 30-year-old. They haven't been a 35-year-old. And the reason for this show in the first place is to show all of the things that happen between age 25 and 40. And I'm absolutely delighted that you're speaking the way that you're speaking, because like I told you, I would have said the same shit. I'm telling you, I would have said the same thing. Like, you're not going to tell me that I'm not as sharp as a 40-year-old. And I probably wasn't in certain instances, and I probably wasn't in certain instances. But one thing that those 40-year-olds had on me that I didn't understand until it happened to me was that they have seen things, been places more times than I had been. For example, like my old head. My old head, when I was 25, he was around 45. Now, this man he worked for me, and he rented one of my apartments. Now, he had been married before, he had been in the military before, he was on drugs, and he really succumbed to drugs. It had a hold on him. He was on the crack hard, but this motherfucker was smart as shit. Intelligent is exactly what he was. So regardless of his addictions, regardless of his demons, he could outthink most people. So at 25 years old, I could have looked at his condition like, you wasted your life. You basically poo-pooed your way all the way up to 45 years old, to the point where you have to look at a 25-year-old. You have to look at a 25-year-old to provide work, money, and housing for you. I could have looked at it that way. I didn't, but I could have. I could have considered myself to be on his level, but I didn't, because he proved to me time and time again that he had been places that I had not been, that he had seen things that I had not seen. And he used to always say to me, whenever I got out of pocket, because at 25 years old, I got out of pocket plenty of times. You know what I mean? My mouth was on some other shit. And he would say, you'll see. I get it. He was real condescending. He'd be like, okay, you'll see. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And guess what? As time went on, I saw like even things that even if we're talking about things that happen in relationships, like, you know, the heartbreak thing, the children thing, the whether to stay with a woman, let a woman go, deal with her shit, and your own shit and all of that. Those are things that I thought that I'd already gone through, because when you're younger, you take a hard stance on shit because your future is something that you're trying to secure all the time. So it's always, if you're a progressive young person of 25 years old or whatever, you're thinking like, I'm not going to do this because it will mess up that. You're planning, especially if you have gone to school and your education is on point. Your planning is telling you exactly what's supposed to be right and what's wrong. But the thing is, as you experience things, you realize that right and wrong start to shift, and they're really, really subjective, and they're really, really based on situations. They really are. So a 40-year-old knows that shit, and a 25-year-old thinks that shit. But a 25-year-old is going to experience that 15 years between age 25 and 40 are going to pretty much erase everything from birth to age 25 that you experienced growing up. Everything. You know, when you're a young kid, even a teenager. Oh no, I would never cheat on my girlfriend. Oh no, I'm going to make sure that my family is set up like this. Any problems that you've had with your parents? Oh no, I'm not going to do that with my kids. I'm going to let them live their lives, or I'm going to make sure that they get what they need, or whatever. It all sounds good, and you may really, really pretty much play that the way that you said that you were going to play it, but they're going to be mad adjustments because you're not there yet. It's just like boxers always say, everybody has a plan in boxing until they get punched in the mouth. And things like humiliation, things like a heartbreak, things like betrayal can derail the fuck out of a 25-year-old. They can. At 25 years old, well, maybe not 25 years old, but at 22 years, okay, let me put it this way. I would say about from 21 up to maybe 24, I thought that my friends that I had then would be my lifelong friends. I thought that my boys, my crew, we would always be crew. We all doing this thing, and we always going to be together, and we always blah, blah, blah. My girl, we always going to have the finest chick. You know what I mean? I'm always, all that always shit goes away. So when I start talking about the difference between a person 40 years old dating a 25 years old, a 25-year-old, yes, for me it's unacceptable. And for anybody else, to me, it's unacceptable. To me. Now, I can't tell them what to do. They're going to live their lives, but I know how a 40-year-old thinks. So a 40-year-old that tries to tell me, oh, no, man, yeah, she a young John, but I'm trying to tell you, she mature, she blah, blah, blah. I know he capping, because I know what he's thinking with. The same way he was thinking with his dick when he was 20, he's still thinking with his dick when he was 40, when he's 40. 40-year-olds normally like to have conversations with 40-year-olds. I can't talk old school hip hop with no 25-year-old. Y'all reading from off the script. I was there. I seen the shit. I went to the shows. I shook the hands. I wrote the rhymes. I was there. So
don't you think you could talk better with a 25-year-old that's read the script than somebody who's 40 that wasn't there, though?
There are no 40-year-olds that wasn't there. They were there.
That's not true. There's 40-year-olds that weren't there.
When I was 40, all of the 40-year-olds were there.
I disagree. See, this is where I say that you're throwing these generalizations around, because you think that all 40-year-olds have had this similar experience and all 25-year-olds have had this similar experience. And I just think you're wrong there.
So
Can I please make a final statement?
Wait a minute. Wait.
Because I kind of got to get out of here.
Okay, wait a minute. Before you do,
Yes,
when
sir.
I was 40, every 40-year-old that was 40 with me, or 38-year-old, or 39-year-old, or 30, anywhere within that 5-year window, they remember all of the hip hop that was out then. They remember when white people didn't listen to hip hop. They remember that shit because we were there. It wasn't like it is now. There wasn't all of this amalgamation, this integration. There wasn't this gentrification. White people listen to mostly rock music and pop music, and black people listen to R&B and rap music. That's how it was. We started coming together. So all of the 40-year-olds, when I was 40, because I'm 54. So the 40-year-olds that are 40 years old now were not there because they were born in 85, 80, 84, 83. No, they can't rock with us. They were not there. They didn't see what we saw. They came afterwards, or they were too young to know what was going on. My 40-year-olds experienced disco. We were too young to go to the disco, but our brothers, our sisters, our aunts, our uncles, they were doing disco. Nobody from the 80s, nobody born in the 80s knows anything about disco. Not one thing. Disco was dead in 1980. Totally obliterated by 82. Not a disco song on the radio. So it's different. So when I say 40 now, I'm not talking about 40 when I was 40. I was 40, 14 years ago. But when I was 40, the 40-year-olds that were there know what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that they did exactly what I did, but the atmosphere was there and it wasn't deniable. That was our generation. We were in this shit together. Whether we played together or not, we were there. So perspectives can change and choices can change, but the experiences were pretty much the same because the political administrations were the same. The educational system was the same. The resources and all of that shit was the same. So I just want you to understand that when you try to equalize things, you just have to understand that. And it's okay if you don't. Now you can go ahead and finish.
All right, I'll make my final statement, and then I'm gonna give a send off after that because I don't want to leave on amicable terms, and I think we've had a good discussion. So I would say that while there are differences in the individual experiences that people from different age groups have had, there are also different experiences within those age groups that then differentiate a 40-year-old that's a white guy from Detroit versus a 40-year-old that's a black guy from Atlanta or a Mexican guy from Utah. Like, all of these people have different experiences that are unique to them and to their localities, and it branches out from there. And that's why I say that a lot of the arguments that you've made, in my opinion, have been anecdotal, where they're based on personal experiences or the personal experiences of others that you've heard, and are subjective because they're not based on an actual fact. Of course, we're not going to find some like objective fact of maturity, and I wouldn't expect that. And I would admit that all my arguments are going to be subjective too, but that subjectivity plays into the nature of my argument. But I'll say finally that I believe that a 25-year-old can be as mature as a 40-year-old, and I think that makes a relationship acceptable between them because the power differential of immaturity is not there. I think that one person has to fundamentally be more mature than another person to have a power differential so great that a relationship between two people over the age of 18 is considered morally unacceptable. And as my send-off, I'll say thank you for your time today, son, and I greatly appreciate it, and I hope that we can talk again. And thank you to chat and everybody that's listened and liked my opinion or liked Son's opinion. And I learned a lot, and I hope that you learned a little bit more about the 23-year-old perspective on things.
All right. Have a great day, man. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
All right. Good call. Good call. And like I said, like I told him, I'm glad that he called in. I'm glad that he spoke from his perspective because it pretty much highlighted exactly what I'm talking about. I don't expect the person to be farther than where they are. Where you are is normally fine. This whole show was developed because, like I said, my baby boy nephew is turning 40 years old today. And I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. What? Huh? My nephew lived with me for 3 years. And those 3 years was him just coming of age. So he came to stay with me, I think, when he was 19 or 20, up until he was around 22, 22, 23, whatever. What up, Gunner? What up, Omar? What up, Jen? How y'all feeling, man? Thanks for coming through. I appreciate y'all. Yeah, my nephew stayed with me for like 3 years. And so I'm looking at him, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old. And I realized how he saw the world. And I realized how spoiled he was and how protected he was and how much he needed to learn in order to be okay. Because he was living here as a grown man, 21, 22 years old, but expected me as a grown man to take care of everything for him. Got niggas running in and out of the crib, shit coming up missing. He was doing music. He was a music producer and all of that. So rappers coming in here, they battling and blah, blah, blah. Sticky fingers, shit coming up, eating all of the food out of the refrigerator, not putting none in. You know what I mean? Didn't want to pay rent and all of that kind of shit. Totally immature. And he was coming from my sister crib. So she raised him. She raised him from birth all the way to age 20. I'm thinking he coming in here like when I was 20 years old, I had my own place. I'd already had my own place for 2 years. You know what I mean? I was in school. You know what I mean? I was paying for that. I didn't mean to pay for that. You know what I mean? Long story. Anyway, so I wound up having to put him out. I'll never forget. I was like, listen, man, you know what I mean? Because he was violating. He was fucking my shit up. He was. He was stubborn, didn't want to follow the rules. It was like having a grown-ass teenager in here. You're not paying me no rent. You go out and buy another car? You go buy, huh? He had good jobs. He's smart as a whip. He had all that good shit going on for him. But anyway, so he's turning 40 years old. So I remember when he turned 25 years old. I'm like, damn, he's turning 25. Because when he's 25 years old, I'm turning 40. 40. Because he was born when I was 14 years old, about to turn 15. He was born in 1985. I turned 15 in 1985. So him turning 40 today, January 11th, Capricorn kid, I'm like, you got to be, like, what the fuck? So I'll be 55 this year. And I'm looking at him like, he started to get it. Those years for him between 25 and 40 have wiped everything clean from the time of his birth up until 25. Everything. My man is married, moved to Canada, has 4 children. Everybody is taken care of. He's actually in a good situation. He's happy with his life. He makes good money. He was always a hustler. You know what I mean? But his maturity didn't come up to from birth till age 25. It came from 25 to 40. When I talked to him today, we got something we got to speak about. We really have to have a talk because I'm looking at my young boy like I was mad at him for years. When I had to put him out, I was mad at him. And I realized I was mad at him because he wasn't where I needed him to be. And you can't be where you need to be before. Let me put it in a better way. You can't be where somebody else wants you to be. You can only be where you are. So you can always believe.
You have a call.
Hold on. I got you. Just give me a second. My man calling in here. Yeah, I'm saying we going. Okay, but yeah, the you can't discount experience. You can't. You know, there are a lot of things you can do in this world, and where you can skip over, or you can circumvent, or you can go around. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can get a degree without going to school for 4 years, but you can't get from 1 year to 4 years without going from 2 to 3. You can't do that. So, like I said, with my nephew, like I said, he got married. He had more children. Now he had it. Yeah. He had his first child before he was 25. But, you know, even though he made good money and he took care of his child and all that kind of stuff, he had some maturity issues. So there were times when he wasn't getting along with his baby mom. You know what I mean? There were times when he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. Pockets of that shit. Now he realized, like, oh, yeah. You sometimes you just got to go ahead and do it. You know, you can't do everything on your time. You don't govern everything in your life. So, yeah, I do believe that for a 40-year-old to deal romantically with a 25-year-old, they have to have a certain level of immaturity. They have to. You cannot have the maturity of the expectations, the maturity expectations of a 40-year-old and effectively deal with a 25-year-old. It's not going to work. Like I said, those conversations, it's when I was when we weren't even that far apart. When I was 32, I remember dealing with this chick that was 22. Little cutie, strong features, you know, bow. She was young, impressionable. I mean, she was a young thing. Smart as fuck. Way smarter than me, intelligently. She was in grad school on her way to her doctorate. At 22. At 22, she was getting it. She never had sex before. Straight virgin. And I'm looking at her like, 22, never had sex before. And I used to listen to her because she was she was real smart. And she was real smart. And I used to listen to the way that she thought about relationships and love and family and children. Because not only was she 22 years old, but she wasn't even from the United States. She was from I think it was Bermuda. It wasn't the Bahamas. It wasn't Barbados. She was from Bermuda. So, you know, she came from a good family and all that. And like I said, she was super intelligent. The Joan was smart as shit. You know what I mean? She do math problems like blah, 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 blah. She was good at math and English. This motherfucker was a superstar, brain-wise. But when I used to listen to her talk, and we only 10 years apart, I'm listening to her talk and I'm thinking like, and one thing I knew, I was like, I can't have sex with this chick. Can't do it. I can't do it. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. And, you know, she was willing to try. She really believed that you should wait until you get married. Oh, because she was type religious too. Very spiritual. All this shit. She was getting into her ministry and all of that. Now, a lot of dudes would have said, yo, this is it right here. Because she was bow. I mean, she's pretty as juice box. And she was, you know, she thought that you should get married before you have sex and children and all that shit. And I was like, yeah. I was like, look, that ain't gonna happen over here. You gonna get that ass up over here. But I was willing to just be a friend. For real, because I was like, I already know. When I was 20 years old, I was dealing with a 24-year-old that never had sex before, a 24-year-old virgin. At 20, 24-year-old was my old head. I was like, y'all got this old head joint. Yeah, man, it's 24, 25 years old. Yeah, I'm 20. She never had sex before. And I'm telling you, this 24-year-old had an ass the size of Alaska. I was like, but you could tell her emotional intelligence, her relationship acumen. It wasn't there. Now with the 24-year-old, we actually did it. And that was the because me and the 24-year-old did it, that's what stopped me from doing it to the 22-year-old. I was like, the 24-year-old couldn't handle it. Forget about just physically, emotionally. She's like, like, to me, you was too old to, you too, but that 22-year-old, I was like, I can't do it. She ain't ready. And this chick was all the way starry-eyed. She had hearts in her eyes, like the emoji. She had the smile with hearts in her eyes. Omar, how you great? I mean, she would have done anything for me. I was like, damn, to experience this level of love and honor. And I ain't even poked. I was like, yo, if I do this shit, there's no way I could have got away with it. There's no way I could have got away with it and still been a good guy. I had to not do it. I was like, no. So I didn't do it. And she couldn't understand it. Like, well, come on. I'm ready. I'm hot. And I was like, why don't you go get some pizza or something? Here I am. I'm acting like a little bitch. Like, I'm only 32. So I get it. She would not have been able to deal with the heartbreak of if things didn't work out between me and her, and they weren't going to work out. My head wasn't where hers was. Her expectations of what love was, what expectations was, and what sex was, and all of that, it was baby shit. I was like, nah, I don't really go like that, babe. Like sometimes shit go right and sometimes it don't. Like, but she wasn't ready for that. So for all her doctorate credits, she didn't know what was in store for her. And I always wondered kind of like what happened. Because she held on for years. We were still cool. We kept in touch and all that for years. What up, Matthew? Talking about some go pack go. Yeah, go take their ass home. Go pack, go home tomorrow. Single blackjack dealer, what up? Jeff Guapo, my peoples, what's going on? How you feeling? Jeff Guapo says, yeah, son, once I figure out you ingrained in cults and religion, it's a no for me. Typically, because they ass is no good until they figure out they being controlled by a book and not just follow. You know what? She was, for her to be into her religion and ministry and all of that, she was surprisingly liberal. She didn't lock in. Like, she believed in what she believed in, but she didn't discount or insult anybody else's beliefs. She didn't judge like that. And that was actually what made her more attractive. I was like, hey, this joint is, I might not be able to fuck her, but goddamn, you know what I'm saying? Right. But she wasn't there. She was, her whole world would have caved in. Like, I waited 22, 23 years to give up some ass, and he fucked me, and now I'm all turned out and shit. And he want to be with somebody else. I'm taking a whole bottle of pills. I'm like, no, man, chill. Chill. And I'm not saying that she would have done that, but I wasn't taking a chance. I couldn't have that kind of blood on my hands. But at least I was mature enough to understand that. She was all in because she didn't know. She didn't know. It was she all the things that she knew about sex was from books and from videos, and you know what I'm saying? So much about that shit. Yeah. All right. Yo, we had another call on the line. Oh, by the way, y'all, make sure y'all hit the like button. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, this is the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. I'm your host, Sun752, aka Omar with the. And today we're talking about the relationship between 25 and 40. Now, we were supposed to be talking about how fast life seems to go between ages 25 and 40. At 25, there's no denying that you're young. At age 40, you cannot say you're young anymore. You can't use the word young. Now, other people can call you young, like 50 and 60-year-olds, but you can't call yourself young. At age 40, you're expected to have done some shit, seen some shit, been somewhere, met some people, experienced some things. At 25, you looking at a 40-year-old like, oh, hey, what you talking about? You know what I mean? I got going on, I'm turning up, I'm getting money out here. You know what I'm saying? You wasted your life. I got my whole life in front of me. Yeah, so them 25 years those 15 years between 25 and 40 go like that shit be fast as fuck. So I'm trying to tell you, dog. I'm trying to tell you. I don't know how fast you go from 45 to 60. But from 25 to 40, I'm trying to tell you. All right. Call it with the last number 7797. What's good, man? Thank you for holding. What's on your mind this afternoon?
What's going on, good brother?
Feel like a real man should. You already know.
Well, you know how we do, man. I still remember when your nephew was staying with you.
Lordy. I said, yeah. Lordy. It was from 2004 to 2007. I was like, this man, he gonna make me put hands on him. Like, I can't put hands on my young boy. I'm like, yo, I had him posted up at the door like, motherfucker.
Yeah, well, I remember them days.
It was crazy.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that the difference between 25 and 40 is you're more mature, you're more understanding. You somewhat try to make right decisions, but you still make the wrong decisions based on what your Johnson might say sometimes. You know, because your Johnson always has a hold on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Now listen. You pretty much took the ride with me. All right, I met you when I was 32, 33.
Well, we was both 32, 33.
Yeah. So we took that ride pretty much to 40, you know what I mean? You know, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. See, the caller before you, I don't know if you heard him when he was on the line. I was trying to explain to him how when, everybody who was born in 70, anywhere between 70 and 75, I would say 70. No, I'm going to say 70, 75 because them later 70s babies, they be on some other shit. Because they be rocking with them 80s babies. You know what I mean? We'll fuck around with that. Yeah. But anyway, from 70 to 75, you saw when hip hop first started to be played on the radio. You saw it only be played on AM radio with Lady B, and to finally getting on FM. You saw when the radio stations didn't want to play rap music. You saw when white people didn't listen to rap music. You saw all of that. You were there. Like now,
when white people start listening to, only reason why white people start listening to rap music is when Deborah Harry did her rap on Rapture, and that was the big thing back then. With Fat Five Freddy and all them wrote around for Deborah Harry on the song Rapture. Then it brought white people into it, along with the disco era and Rapper's Delight.
Okay.
Those three things brought rap into that nucleus, I believe.
Yeah, but they weren't into it mainstream. You had little sprinkles.
Never was into it mainstream.
I would say the Beastie Boys really brought white people in. But my point is, we saw the segregation in entertainment. There were black things and there were white things. We saw that. So, you know, that energy phased out after our generation to the point where it's hard for the 80s babies and 90s babies. They don't remember that. They were not there. You know what I'm saying? They didn't see it. They didn't see it go from one thing to another thing. They didn't see one thing get phased out and another thing start to become the shit. They were born right into the rap era.
Right.
They didn't know. They don't know what it was like before. They don't know what it was like to not have no hip hop. They never saw that. It was there their whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different. So, but when I'm talking about the relationship between age 25 and 40, you know how when you're 25 years old, you're looking at 40 like that's a long time from now, man. I got so much shit I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? You be thinking about like, yo, you be saying crazy shit when you 25, like early retirement. By the time I'm 40, I ain't gonna have to work no more. You go at 25, you talking that shit.
Unless you ride the bank.
Listen, the optimism, the level of optimism that you feel at age 25 is crazy. But you also have to remember some people are in 25 in jail doing 25 to life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a whole different, their view of the future is different. So when they turn 40, if you've been in jail since you was 25 and you turning 40 in jail, like what are we talking about? Like I can't even speak on what the thought process of that is. You know what I'm saying? Like
we cannot. We better not ever speak on it either.
Yeah, but when you take it into consideration, like the way that the way that somebody who is incarcerated looks at their future is similar to the way that somebody who is married with children at 25 would look at it. You think that this is what it is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like this is what it's going to be. You know, so it's different. It's different, but that time goes by fast. Even if you in jail, the time goes by fast. It just goes slower in your mind.
Right.
Kinda. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't imagine how the time would go if I was locked behind bars, but your mind and your body will adjust to whatever situation that you're in. You know what I mean? So the gray hair going to still come.
It just takes me out that when you think of 25 to 40, you know, this younger generation, like even like if let's say your nephew turning 40,
mm-hmm.
You know, there's certain slangs and certain things that you can't drag into your 40s that this younger generation has. Like mm-hmm. You can't walk around saying glizzy. You 40 fucking years old, bro.
Yo, what is that shit? A hot dog? What is a glizzy?
They call a glizzy a hot dog because they see a glizzy as a dick. So they're gay.
So how is a glizzy a dick?
You're gay because you're hungry and you're eating.
But how is a glizzy a dick?
I don't know how you're doing it.
Like the slangs they be coming up. I don't know. Yeah, I mean.
But then you turn back around and you got people in our generation like Cameron, Mace, Julie, Wallow, and all these other certain podcasters that go pause and you know and this that and other. Y'all fucking in your 50s, bro. And what you're doing is you're dragging that younger generation shit into our generation, and it hinders our generation from wanting to be in our generation. You're sitting back saying, let's adapt to them. Well, no little motherfuckers should be adapting to us. Mm-hmm. You have to allow them to adapt to us. The reason why your nephew at age 25 is doing great at age 40 is because of what the fuck you did to him at age 25.
Mm-hmm.
In the years he stayed with you. Don't never think that his wisdom and knowledge and all that stuff he learned is not going into him at age 40 because he had to learn it from somewhere. Not just his mother, not just his grandmother, not just his grandfather, but from you. Because he stayed with you for 3 years. And in those 3 years, he dragged that shit into his lifestyle. And then when he had an awakening, he said, shit, my Uncle Son 752 was right. I have to wake up. I have to make the right decision at age 40. I got 4 kids. I'm living in Canada. I have a wife. I walk around calling people crazy. You know what I mean? So now you walking out, now the life has changed. With the experience and the knowledge and wisdom you attained from other people at those ages came into fruition and you learned from them.
Mm-hmm.
It just don't go away. You can't not say to you, oh, I really appreciate how you did. Wasn't the fact that you kicked me out. You didn't just kick me out. You made me into a man that day. You gave me the thought process of the wrongs that I was doing and what's going on now.
Yeah.
He can't tell you, well, why you kicking me out, made me a worthless piece of shit. No. What makes things better is sometimes you gotta be a cold motherfucker to make that person grow into a brilliant man.
Mm-hmm.
Tough love is the most important thing in life. You cannot sit back and say, I'm going to give you a testimony for you and the family. My daughter is on drugs. My oldest daughter is on drugs. I told my oldest daughter this. Whenever you're ready to make the decision and get off of drugs and go into the rehab, I will sit back, be 10 toes down with you, and carry you and walk your walk with you. But until then, when you're hungry, you call me, I will buy you something to eat. Until then, I will buy you some clothes. Until then, I will buy you some footwear. But I will not put money in your pocket to supply you with a drug that I don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
What am I wrong for saying? Not a fucking thing.
Hold on. I'm glad you brought up the whole drugs thing. Because when you're talking about between ages 25 and 40, you have to factor drug use into the equation. How many people have we lost from the people we grew up with? How many people have we lost physically and mentally from drug use?
A lot.
Yeah.
Your family members.
That's what I'm saying. Some of them are still here and shot out. Some of them had to totally restart that shit. So imagine how they're looking at the time between 25 and 40. They may have to erase all of that shit because they had to start all the way over at age 40. Or they may have still been using at age 40. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's different. But let me ask you this real quick. And I want you to think long and hard about this shit. You ready?
Yeah.
How many years did it take you to get from age 25 to 40?
Well, let me say. It took me maybe 2-3 years. You know what I mean? It took me about maybe 2-3 years to get me from age 25 to 40.
Okay.
You know, because at the end of the day, you know, at that age I was married. I already had a bunch of children. So at the end of the day, the wake-up calls was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the difference between my 25 to 40, and other people's 25 to 40 is that I wasn't a follower. I was a leader. I didn't follow behind people. You know what I mean? I didn't look at things. I looked at things differently than I would have looked at things from 25 to 30 and from 35 to 40.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at things differently. You have to be more responsible. You have to be more understanding. You have to be able to listen and to change things. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to have pitfalls within your life from that age 25 to 40.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what you do, it's how you do it. It's not how you go about it, it's how you deal with it. And that's how you go about life. And that's either from age 40 to 60, from 60 to whatever, until guys say, come on, let's go home, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to be able to deal with certain situations. Relationship-wise, you have to be able to deal with it. And the hard part about relationship-wise from 25 to 40, if you never had a person to sit down with you and teach you about the relationships or teach you about women or sit back and talk to you about that, you only know from what you see.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, you only know from some of the bullshit that you've seen on people. Like when you see women getting beat up, when you see your mom getting beat up, then you would think that's right.
Mm.
you know, if you see your mom being taken care of and your dad going out there buying her gifts all the time, spending time with her, or not spending time with her, but just being at work all the time, then you don't think that's right.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Everything coincides with one another. Whether you, from your upbringing from 10 to 20, from 20 to 30, from 30 to 40, it all coincides with one another. It's how you deal with it, how you attain it, and what you carry with it.
I agree. But I will say this. I think it took me about 7 or 8 years to get from 25 to 40. You know, I had my career, or what I thought was going to be my lifetime, my birthright. I had that. I had my own place, had a car. You know what I mean? I hadn't had children yet, though. At 25.
That's what I was getting ready to tell you.
Yeah.
You didn't have children until later.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you didn't really have to worry about 20 for 25, because at the end of the day, let's think about it. You were still in the bachelor era.
Mm-hmm.
You were still your done physical like a motherfucker.
Listen,
you know what I mean? You was enjoying life. You ain't supposed to be pokey.
Listen, I didn't have nobody to take care of besides myself. Yeah, I mean, and even after I had a child, I still wasn't married. So, you know, I still, you know, I had one egg in the basket to take care of, but really more than that, because I've helped take care of children in my journey. I've never, you know, I ain't basically no child got not just my. You don't have to have your own kids to have kids. That's what I'm saying. I'm not even talking about my nephew. I'm talking about, you know, any woman that I dealt with that had kids. You know what I'm saying? You know, they love me to death. I've never understood, you know, kids' obsession with me. It's all good though. But you know, and so, you know, you have a connection. You know, it go the way it go. But I would say it took me about 7 or 8 years to get to 40, because once we were 39, I would say 38, because, you know, 38, you're looking at 2 more years to 40. You're like, the fuck? Like, this shit really gonna happen? You know what I mean? Like, one thing is for sure, nobody goes up and grabs 40 before they turn 40. Like, nah, you know what I mean? We good over here in the 30s.
What takes me out is that why do people frown on you turning older? Meaning, if you frowning on it, then you're dead.
Yeah.
You can't frown on getting older, because if you don't want to get older, then die. It's going to happen. And when it happens, how you deal with it is going to make you stronger. You're going to go through your ailments. You're going to go through your sicknesses. Because a lot of people don't get too serious about life until they get older. They don't care about sicknesses until they get older. They don't care about none of that shit, son.
I know.
You don't care about sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sugar. I don't care about being diabetic. Oh, shit, I'm diabetic. Now you're 50, you're like, oh, shit, I got to take what? I got to do what?
Listen, man.
I don't give a fuck about high blood pressure. Let me eat all that stuff. But oh, shit, I'm 50, what?
Your 30s be laying the foundation for a lot of ailments that are really going to come back to bite you in your ass. Your 20s don't do that shit. Your 20s, you know, you might be diabetic, still drinking juice, chewing gum, and dipping chocolate. You know what I mean? And in the 30s, they're like, look, you know, you keep playing. You know what I mean? First you start losing that eyesight. Next thing you know, they talking about, you know what I mean? Sawing off shit.
Let me take that lead.
Yeah. So, you know, you might not make it to your 40s and your 30s. But what I was saying about your 30s is your 30s are like it's like La Cosa Nostra. Everybody who's in their 30s at the time is like, yo, we right here. This shit is the real deal here. Because in your 30s, just about everybody got kids. Because you don't have no kids in your 30s, more than likely you ain't gonna have none. You know what I'm saying? You know, more. And that's not to say that people don't turn 40.
Well, that's because one slips through the crevice.
Well, you know, some people wait until their 40s to have children for different reasons. Like, I've known women who vetted their men so hard that they didn't have children, so they had to just go ahead and have them after they was 40. And it might have been more complicated. Now you talking about fertility drugs, and you know what I'm saying? You know, like, look, you should have saved some of them abortions, shorty. You know? But anyway, But you know, they could have been chasing money. They could have been chasing money, or they could have been on some other shit. Things happen. But yeah. So you normally get your family started by the time you're in your 40s. I mean, I'm sorry, in your 30s. So at 40, you're taking inventory of what you've done right and what you've done wrong, because you can no longer make excuses when you're 40. Like, this is the real deal. You know, they say 50 is middle age. It's really 40, because who you know is living to be 100. You know what I'm saying? That shit ain't easy. That's an exclusive ass club. Shoot, black men, we like, yo, can I get 80? Can I get 80? Because it ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? We checking out in our... Man, listen. The amount of boys that I've lost up until now, I'm like, 60 ain't no guarantee. So you know, at age 40, you really got to start thinking about your future and the future of those around you, because cats are about to start dropping off. You know what I'm saying? Them heart issues, that shit is going to get real. That sugar diabetes shit, that shit is about to get real. Those respiratory diseases and shit, that shit is about to get real. If you have some kind of immunodeficiency disease like multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, you know, that shit is going to be serious. You know what I mean? You know, you're not young and to where your immune system is probably going to easily get you through those times. You know, you look at even though it's heartbreaking, you look at children who have cancer, and they be fighting, they be getting through. You know what I mean? Not all of them make it, but they young and they strong, and their immune system is able to respond to those treatments a lot better than you are when you in your 40s, 50s. And not only that, when you're a young child, you're going to do whatever is recommended. At 40, I know my body. I don't trust this motherfucker over here. I ain't gotta do that. Ah, man, God got me. Yeah, he got you for real, for real. You done went home to him. You know what I mean? So you know, at 25, you ain't thinking about no cancer. You ain't thinking about you ain't thinking about that nothing can really get you. I read Prodigy's book, Prodigy from Mobb Deep.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah, I was reading this book. Well, I didn't read it. I listened to the audio book, and how he was saying in the book, like, man, you know, I can't let sickle cell take me out. Like, for him, that was like ridiculous, because he had sickle cell all his life, so he figured he had control of it. He had a hold of. I'm like, you know what I mean? People I've lost from sickle cell. Like, that shit ain't nothing to play with. And it ultimately took him. You know what I'm saying? So he was just in his 40s. He was in his young 40s when he left here. So you know, that age 25 to 40, I mean, you can play with it if you want. At 25, you can't see 40. But at 40, you've seen 25. So you should really help somebody who's 25. Listen.
See, and another thing about age, you know, I was just talking to one of my other boys over there. We was talking about religion. I was like, you know, you really don't understand how deep religion is until you get older. Because as you get older, you're living on borrowed time now. Once you to certain ages that you start hitting, that you like so I remember Ray said this joke, like, you know, when you get older, you know, sleep is the next thing to death. But when grandma wakes up in the morning, she ain't going back to sleep because she done cheated death. And at the end of the day, we might look at that as a joke, but that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Because at a certain age that you hit, you start thinking, oh, I didn't have to wake up. Because when you're a young person, you don't think about death. You think that you're invincible. Life is, you're supposed to live life dangerous. You're supposed to do what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to wake up every morning. And that's not necessarily true. When you're 25, between 25 and 30, I mean, between 25, matter of fact, I say from your younger years up until 25 and all the way up and almost until 40, that's when you don't think about religion. You're thinking about party. You're thinking about springing. You're thinking about that new gear you're gonna get. You're thinking about some money. I'm gonna get from A to B. You're thinking about car. You're thinking about everything else but religion. But when you turn 45 or 50, like right now, I found myself, son, I'm so deep into some of my religion, man, that when I see people hurting, I stop them and I pray for them. I literally stop them. I was working at the Sheraton Suites, and one girl was in there. She said that she was at the bar, she was drinking, and she was semi-drunk, and she said the reason why I was drinking so hard is because I got a full flow on my father.
Mm-hmm.
I gave her a hug and I said, hold on, give me your hand. And I prayed for her. Another time I'm in the kitchen and I'm busy. One of my servants come in there and say, Troy, there's a kid at the table that just had surgery and got over like 30 needles today and had surgery today. And I just want you to go to the table and talk to the family. White family from West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
So I prayed for the child. I comped their meal. By the time I got done, the father gave me his number, wanted me to keep in contact with him. They hugging me. They telling me, man, I respect you so much, this, that, and other. One thing about prayer, man, I wish the younger generation would get on board with religion. Because if they get on board with religion, it will be an awakening for them as they get older. Because the way some of these young kids is living now and they dragging it into, they're not going to make it to 25 and go to 40. They're not going to make it to 30 to go to 30. They're not going to even make it out their teens because we're seeing it. They keep talking about the murder rate is down, but the murder rate is getting younger. You know what I'm saying? So 25 to 40, there's never an awakening with the religion part. The only thing you think about when you wake up is, damn, I gotta go to work today, man. I don't even feel like going to this fucking job. And you still feel that same way as you get older. In our 50s, we still feel that way. And I'm at work, and when I'm at work, you know what I'm saying, man? I said, shit, why the fuck did I become a drug dealer back then? I should have been a fucking drug dealer.
Yo,
I'm saying that shit out loud.
I have had this conversation with myself plenty of times. The thing is, I ain't lying, man. But the thing is, we would both be dead. That's the part we keep missing. Like the bullets wasn't going to hit us. Like they wasn't going to aim the game.
You know why we would be dead, son? Because we would be too smart for ourselves. We would be too intelligent.
Son,
at the end of the day, the money that we would have been having to come in, it would have been crazy.
Listen, man. I did 48 hours in jail in CFCF. 48 hours because I had to do that time for those DUIs. That 48 hours let me know I wasn't built for no motherfucking jail. I think in 72 hours, I would have had problems. And you know why? Because y'all got to understand what I'm saying when I say this. Jail is it's definitely not for know-it-alls, but it's really not for intelligent people. Mm-hmm. Your intelligence will not be appreciated in jail because you're going to start to see the real reason that these other motherfuckers are locked up. Mm-hmm. You're going to start to see and eventually you're going to start speaking on it like maybe you should have. And that's when the problems are going to come. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I swear. And that spring day in 2010 when I did that 48 hours, I ran out of that motherfucking prison like, yo, I'm good. Like the fuck, like, because you see, motherfuckers been in there for years, and I was in a unit. They didn't want to put us in, they didn't want to put us in the population where the more dangerous criminals were. So we were in the area where cats are coming. They already been upstate, and this is sort of like a halfway house for them. So they had a bunch of trailers set up. They had a bunch of trailers set up like a jail. And so these cats were getting ready to come home, but they wasn't necessarily coming home this year. Like maybe they had to walk off about 3 or 4 years. So they had already been upstate for 10 years plus and all that kind of shit. But I'm seeing these cats and they know you only there for a week and they know that shit. So it ain't nothing for them.
So you know what they're going to do?
Exactly.
Some drama so you can stay in that motherfucker.
Yo, man, I got into an argument with a motherfucker because he believed that Central America was a continent. And I was like, and I see the shit escalating, and I'm like, all right, son, you know what I mean? Me being me, I ain't really want to just let it go. Like, what the fuck you talking about? You know, I'm at this is 2010. I'm a big dude. I'm like, nah, son, no. Do these 48 hours and get the fuck on up out of here. That's what you need to do.
So what you call me, a pussy? All right, I'm a pussy.
Listen, I was still 39. I had a birthday coming up when I was going to be 40. I still had to make it to 40s. I had to make it to 40s.
You out of your motherfucking mind, man. Yeah. And that's the whole thing about it, you know. But, you know, every time I see myself making changes at my age, or I see changes from 1 year to the next year, I always think of that Tony Terry song, Everlasting Love, when he says this part in the song, he says, things that I used to do, I don't do no more. Places I used to go, I don't go no more. Because that's so, right there is the focal point of life itself. As you start maturing, and as you start getting older, and as you start growing, you start changing the same things that you used to do. You know what I mean? Like, I want to go out, but if it ain't about $1, I don't really want to go the fuck out. It's meaningless. There's nothing wrong. I'm chill. As you get older, you get chill with just relaxing. You know what I mean? You don't have to go out. You don't have to go out and party because at the end of the day, the same people that you done seen 5 years ago is the same thing people you're going to see when you go out. And some of the people that you seen 5 years ago, some of them are gone, passed on, or some of them are out there. So we have the enjoyment of it. I'm not going out there truly go out there to fucking meet and greet because I'm already dealing with my own situations I'm trying to fix. But even at the day, meeting and greeting, I don't need to add one headache to a headache I'm trying to fix. Now I'm taking from now I gotta go from Motrin to Nexus because I got 2 headaches. I don't need side joints. I don't need no headaches like that. You know, and that's the thing about it. As you get older, you start maturing. From that 25 to 40 years old, there has to be an awakening. Let me wake the fuck up from this shit. Let me wake the fuck up. You know what I mean? You know, you can't even look at things that you shoulda, woulda, coulda, because you didn't. So now you gotta move forward to what you need to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I remember when I was in 25, when I was 25 and before I turned 25, 26, I was at what? I was at 245 pounds. I said, man, I ain't worried about that shit. I ain't gonna never hit 300. Bam! 300. What the fuck? Man, I ain't gonna never hit 350. Fuck that. 45. Oh shit, 350. And then we going to die losing 75 pounds. I didn't lose it in natural way. I lost it through stress and depression. I didn't lose it that way. I lost it through stress and depression, but then it took me to that next level. I lost it. But see, once you lose it, what happens? Once the stress and depression is over, let me get back to that grub, man. I need that cheese steak. add some extra meat and cheese to that motherfucker.
Yeah.
You all right, Troy? Yeah, I'm all right. Matter of fact, make it a cheesesteak flour. Put lettuce and tomatoes on that motherfucker. Make you feel like I'm eating healthy.
Yo.
You know what I mean?
Yes, so, I do know. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
The shit, son. Everything, as you get older, you get wiser. And as you get wiser, you attain. That's why I always tell the younger generation to invest in conversation with their grandparents. So you can get that real knowledge from their upbringing and install that shit. I still quote my grandfather saying certain things to me. My mom passed away in 2020, and I see her saving me from myself. She doesn't have to say to me for myself to come see me. She can say to me for myself from the wisdom that she put inside of me. You know what I mean? So that wisdom and everything that you go through, like your pop, he might have, if he came and seen you, God bless that. But if he never come and see you, he saves you from the wisdom that he's giving you.
Well, I don't know. When it comes to that situation, whether your dad is in your life, I've always believed that just like when the ancestors pass on, they give you the energy that they had when they were here, and I believe that.
Right.
I believe that, you know, through the universe, through the spirit, whether your dad is in your life or not, you'll still always have characteristics that he had, which means that his energy still flows within you. Some things can't always be the way that let me put it this way. Things can't always be the way that they are supposed to be, but it doesn't mean that they won't be. You know what I mean? Sometimes we have to extract from things that we can't see and touch. The same way that we believe in God, but we haven't seen or physically felt him. We have to believe that he's there, and we have to look for evidence that he's there. And I believe for you that although your dad wasn't in your life, he was in your life. You know what I'm saying?
Well, let me break it down. Let me break it down to you.
All right. Well, hold on. But when you
gotta go.
All right. You got it, son. That's why I like you. That's why I fucks with you. That's why. There you go. All right.
I already know the scenario. But see, the thing about it is that I always tell people this because I hate people saying, "Well, that person did this because he didn't have the love of their father," or "That person did that because they didn't have the love of their mother." So what you did was you went out there and you acted a fool and done stupid shit because you didn't have the love for them. When you can build yourself to be great and go help them. Like if they're drug addicts, go help them. Don't sit back and be an asshole and do the drugs and sell the drugs and then wind up selling to your mother and father. I've seen that. You've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Know what I mean? Don't sit back and do that, but make the decision based on as long as you're getting love from somebody, it shouldn't notify you being great. Like my father wasn't a drug addict, but he snorted coke. It's times I'll be playing in the next right there in the room, and him and his friends are at the table, literally smoking weed and snorting coke. But I didn't know what it was at the time. But then once you put that in your memory bank, you be like, "Holy shit!" But that didn't trickle down to me because I had the love of every other people that guided me in certain directions. I had my brother. I had my grandfather, which was his father. I had another grandfather. I had grandparents. These kids today from 20 to 25 don't have consciousness.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with it. We had a conscience. You knew for a fact that you done something wrong, your father was going to fuck you up. Or your mother was going to do something to fuck you up. Or they was going to take something from you that was going to fuck you up. I ain't want nobody taking my authority. I love playing pitfall.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, good game. Pitfall. Pitfall was pretty dope.
Xbox or no PlayStation day. We talking about at the end of the day, 20 to 25 to 40 is the growth of becoming not a senior citizen, of becoming a man. But that 21, that 20 to 25, no, 25 to 40 is going to show you who you fuck you are.
Yeah, and it really does. It's just the speed in which you reach 25 to 40. You know, not just the actual time, the seconds, the minutes, the hours, days, weeks, months, and years, but that time of your life goes so fast because between 25, from my perspective, from 25 to 40, you really try to fill in a lot. You know, like you like I said, at 25, you do not see 40. You see 30, but you don't see 40. Because 40 to you at 25 is sort of like it's like the finish line at 40. Not saying that you're gonna die at 40, but you're thinking like I better have gotten some shit done at 40 by the time I get to 40. And that's what you spend most of your time from the age 25 to 40 doing, you know, trying to fill in those blanks, trying to make the rest of the road easier because you're thinking at 40,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be traveling. I'm gonna make sure that the kids straight. You know what I mean? I'm at, I had my house, I had my car, I had my spouse, had my life right. And it doesn't always work out that way, but the time went fast as fuck. You may still need a few years, and you'll have all the time that you need. Because one thing that you find out at age 40 is that life doesn't stop at 40. For a lot of people, it's starting to begin. So you gotta roll with that. But I was trying to explain to the young cat who called in before you the mentality of a person who is 40 years old and is dating a 25-year-old. Like it can be done. Everything is legal, but those conversations are going to be different. They're going to be a little strained.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because a 40-year-old can be 25, but a 25-year-old cannot be 40. Can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So as smart as you might be and whatever you've done, yes, yeah, you got it going on. But there's more to having it going on than, to being 40 than just having it going on. There's a lot more to it. But you got to get there. And believe me, from 25, you'll get there fast as fuck. That's the expressway to 40.
You got to remember something.
It's the Autobahn.
From age 20, and I know you got to go, like I said, but from age 30 to 40, when you working, if you put in them 8 hours or you doing overtime, and then you get home, and if you have children, then you got to put your time in with your children and then your spouse. By the time you go to bed, you didn't really put in 18-hour days. So by the time you go to bed, it's a new day. So that's why it goes so fast. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
It takes. Let's say it takes 8 hours. At work is a 10-hour shift, even if you just work 8 hours, because you got to realize something. If you got to ride into work and you got to deal with traffic, that's an hour into work or a half hour to work. And if you're not, everybody is not just working 8-hour shifts. Like this past week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I just worked 12-hour shifts. So at the end of the day, by the time you get done work, it's the end of the day. You came in with the sun down, you leaving with the sun down. So I mean, as you get older, that's why the days go quicker, because you losing your days through being mature and getting jobs and taking care of children and taking care of households, and the kids is being born between that time, because the only time you have to mix the meet and greet with your wife is in the bedroom. And having a conversation between 20 and 25, 25 and 40 is different, because when you was 25, you talking about, what time you going to the club? When we going to meet up here? When we going to do this? Blah, 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 blah. But when you're 40, you like, shit, I got to take the kids to school. I got to go to work. By the time I get done work, I'm trying to hurry up and make it home. It's a whole different scenario. Just like you said, 40, the 40 conversation, maybe the 40 can turn 25, but 25 can't turn 40.
I mean, you can only be where you gonna be. But all right, man, we gotta go.
You talking to a 40-year, a 25 talking to a 40-year, God bless him. I mean, he's wearing that old ass out, but at the end of the day, she wearing them the fuck out too, because literally, he can't even compute what the fuck she's talking about.
Listen, man, even physically, them 40-year-olds ain't no fucking joke. But that's a whole nother story. No, they really not. They well, them motherfuckers, they different. I don't know what the fuck. Yo, they fuck out of here. But all right, man, let's get out of here. All right, we're gonna be back tomorrow. Hopefully you can call in tomorrow, come on back. But let's get out of here for now. All right. Good looking out, man. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate you. One love.
All right, love you, bro.
Without a doubt.
All right.
Good stuff. Oh, I want to give a shout out to Dimples D's. I see that you said bless you. I ain't even know. I'm over here. Listen, let me tell y'all something, man. Beyond the allergies or whatever, I've been sneezing 3 times. Me and my mom been sneezing 3 times in a row since for as long as I can remember. I used to get my 3 sneezes in every day, multiple times, sometimes, whatever. I never understood it. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. It is what it is. You think it won't when it whiz. We are here and we are in motion. We do this thing, taking off fast lane, no coasting. All right, so let's do this. We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on. Wait, but before I do this, I just want to reiterate what I wrote in the chat. I was hesitant to do this show because I was like, I don't know if people are going to really understand what I'm trying to talk about, what I'm trying to portray in this show. So I'm pleasantly surprised that y'all were able to get it. Even if y'all wasn't really rocking with it, I appreciate y'all hanging in there and trying to get the concept. You know what I mean? I appreciate everything that y'all bring to this channel. I really, really, really do. So thanks for being a good listener and elevating your level of understanding and even consideration just for getting with this. Because I consider this show to be pretty cerebral. You know what I mean? Am I wrong? I consider this show to be on a cerebral. And sometimes people be like, oh, hell, smart shit. You know what I'm saying? You man, play the drums or something. You know, hit up that triangle. Hit up the triangle, nigga. All right. Hit the triangle, nigga. Hit triangle, nigga. Triangle. All right, let's go. We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious. January 11th, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special because they are special because they are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They get number 1 out the box, Shay Burt. And she's raising money for the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. And also, Sands, happy birthday to you. And Betty Noble Star. I've known Betty Noble Star since like 1985. Word up. And also, and she's turning 46. Ain't this about a bitch? And my baby nephew, turning 45 years old, Khalid Berry. Do the damn thing, my young boy. I can't believe it. I'm going to holler at you in a minute. And also, Tara Joseph. Happy birthday to you. And to Negra Coqueta Aria. Happy birthday to you. And Lavelle Griffin. Happy birthday. Calvin Hollinghead. Maria Russell. Happy birthday. And Wanda Cooper. Happy birthday to you, Ma. They go-getters. And Armanda Smith. Happy birthday. And Kadria Porter. And I think that's going to do it. I want to say happy birthday to all of y'all and anyone else out there who shares this birthday on this glorious January 11th, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up. But don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out. Rock on and do the damn to rock out. Rock on and do the damn rock out. Rock on and do the damn thing and do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, hey, yo, your life is yours. You only get one to live. Yo, you got to be positive. Sometimes you got to give. Sometimes you got to take. Sometimes you got to bake. In other words, cook and give things a different look. I was shook when I was a youngster because I didn't want to lose my life or pick the wrong wife. But things go on, and as you learn, you got to wait your turn and make sure you don't burn. Burn in hell, burn on earth, burn in the classroom. Yo, burn for what it's worth. Burn while you're at the job. Burn while you're learning. Yo, you got to do a lot of burning while you're learning. And what are you learning? What are you filling your head with? Are you doing the things to make the bread with? Yo, I got to bring home the bacon. That's whether or not I eat pork. Yo, put that food on my fork. and make sure that the money is coming in. But it's more about the money than things are getting funny. And when I see somebody out here struggling, and it ain't because of the bees, they trying to fulfill their needs. It ain't all about you, or what you got to do is make sure that you raise your children when they come through, and you got to get them to the finish line. At the same time, 25 to 40 is fine. That shit is crazy. It's like in a time warp, and things got shorter and shorter until you was on the border, and you feel like you're going back home like you a Latino. Yo, nah, I mean though. And it's getting kind of crazy out here. And I'm just trying to educate and tell you, my dear, that yo, you take your time and be a little patient. You gonna get all the things that you got while you was waiting, and no hating. Yeah, you gonna experience a little bit, but make sure to always know that you the shit. Yo, Daily Go-Getterism, Urban Therapy with Son. We will be back tomorrow. We will be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock. I'm about to watch these playoffs. Get on the game. Play my Call of Duty. Sit back, relax, and chill. Do what I want to do. Never, ever act ill. Peace, Omar. Peace. What's that? Moises Junior. Oh, it's that shit is Portuguese. General Ramirez, Jeff Guapo. I want to thank all y'all for coming through, man. Appreciate y'all, man. You know, exponentially. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure that y'all share the show. Make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, Omar says sneezing 3 times in a row was considered good luck in ancient Greece, and you could leave the hospital. Wow. Iris bless me, but good looking out, Iris. Who's Iris? There's somebody like named Iris in here? You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't see people hiding in between. It's all good. It's all good. Well, if there's an Iris in here and I missed you, I apologize. Leave no participant behind. Like I said, man, peace to all my day ones, my everydays. Oh, that Iris. It was the Greek guidance. Okay, I got you. Okay, not ISIS, but Iris. Okay, I got you. Cool. Like I said, peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. Love y'all to death. Resuscitate y'all. Love y'all right back to life. I see y'all tomorrow around between 1 and 1:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yo, I holla back at y'all. Go Eagles. Holla! 1.